Hey, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulty there. My computer just decided to freeze. So we're all good now. Welcome to today's session. It is again just me, Gretchen, the left brain from Left Right Labs. Trina is at a speaking event this weekend, so she has left me in charge of the live stream. So we're going to have some fun today. Today, we're going to be talking about some user questions. So a couple weeks ago, I did an entire session on AI and how I've been using it and all the crazy, amazing results and things that we've been doing in our business and even in my personal life. And today, I'm going to follow up and answer some of the questions that have been sent in, or some of the clients who have watched our live stream and asked me questions in person. I wrote those down. I want to make sure I captured everything. So I'm going to hit. I'm going to get started on that here in just a second. And I was checking because it looks like we had a comment come in. Oh, hey, Michael Palacci. Hey, long time. I haven't heard from you in quite a while. Thanks for joining today. That's awesome. If you have any questions as we go through this, just pop them in the chat and we'll get to them. So let's get started. So here's the first question that I've had from people. And I'm gonna pop that up on the screen. Can AI really help with brand messaging, or is it going to make me sound like a robot? So this is a big question, and this is there's a lot of moving parts to this question. So I'm going to try to simplify it so that we have some clarity around this. So AI can for sure help you with your brand messaging. And it can also make you sound generic, but there is a fix for that. So I just want to make sure that we have a clear foundation on this, because if you just take AI out of the box and you just start asking it to create content on a topic or write a blog post for you, it's going to do it, and it's going to sound good. It's going to have correct grammar and punctuation, might even give you some really good examples and have some really cool content, but it might not sound like you. So, and sometimes it does present some really generic information. So we want to make sure that we're using AI to actually sound like you. And there's a method for that. So first of all, some things that you can do with AI: you can obviously draft content, you can create blog posts, you can have it respond to emails, you can do all of these things with it. It's also a great brainstorming tool when you're creatively stuck. But where it fails on that respect is if it doesn't sound like your brand, and you're taking that content and you're putting that, if you're responding to that client through an email, or you're using that content in a blog post or whatever, if it doesn't sound like you, it is going to fall flat. And I will tell you from our experience, and we've been using AI for probably the last, I would say we're coming up on 2 years, maybe longer. When ChatGPT first came out, I was all over that. I was on it like within the first week. And so we've been using it for a long time. And I will tell you, the first rounds of blog posts we tried to create and content we tried to create it was awful. It sounded so generic and so flat, did not sound like us. We have our voice as we throw a lot of humor in it, a little sarcasm. We like puns. We're funny. Don't ever ask AI to try to write puns. They're not good. They're not good. I usually have to come up with those myself still. So I'm still valuable as a human. But anyway, if you're using AI for those types of things, there's a trick to making it sound like you. So it's got to know your brand strategy. And I said this in the previous video: if you were to go up to a stranger on the street and ask them for business advice specifically about your business, they might give you some advice, but is it going to be valuable and worthwhile if they don't know anything about your business? Probably not. And that's kind of what it's like when you're using AI to give you content around your brand or use your brand voice. If it doesn't know your brand voice, if it doesn't know anything about your brand, that's a problem. And here's what I'm seeing from a lot of companies that we've been exploring and just, seeing what's out there. And in fact, I was on a webinar here recently where they're like, here, download this cheat sheet to, get started with AI. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to download and see what they're doing. I gotta tell you, if I were them, I'd be a little bit embarrassed because the cheat sheet was basically 6 questions. And it was kind of about brand. It was like, hey, what's your brand story? What's your value proposition? What's the name of your business? Information that yes, your AI should know, but it was so high level and so generic that I'm like, well, if I put that into AI, are they really going to understand my brand? No, they didn't have anything in there about what is the customer supposed to feel. What kind of transformation is that customer expecting to have when they work with you? And there was nothing about what products that you would sell. It is a huge, massive laundry list of things that when you put those things into AI, then you get exactly what you need out of for your content and even business problem solving. And there's a whole gamut of things you can do besides just creating content. Most people use it for content, but if you're anything you want to do in your business, it needs to have your brand stamp on it. And so I'm appalled by some of those things that I see out there. People saying, "Oh, just upload this single document to AI and poof, it sounds like you." I'm like, no, it doesn't. We are actually in the process of building something out that will show you all of the things that you need to have to go into AI to make it sound like your brand. I used to have to go into AI, put something in, and then have to train it and do a bunch of work, and it was just constant back and forth. And I'm like, there's got to be a more efficient way. I created that more efficient way, and we're going to be sharing it with you soon. But that is the way that you train the AI. It has to know all of these things about you, not just your business name and your value proposition and who your customers are. It's got to know every last facet of your brand, your business, and how you work, how your customers should be spoken to, how they react to things. They needs to see the customer testimonials that you're getting. It needs to understand as much as you would if you were onboarding a team member in your business. It needs to be like that team member. So anyway, we'll be talking more about that. But if you want just a little cheat sheet on that, we do have our Brand Soul workshop. So if you want to check that out, there's a link down below. That is the foundational piece that we use when we are training an AI. And there's a little section in that training that talks about how we would take the information that you create with your Brand Soul and put that into your favorite AI tool. That's a foundational piece to get you started. There's a whole lot more that goes with that. But if you want to jump start on that, that is a great place to start. So let's move on to question number 2 here. And this one came from a client this past week. And I was like, okay, I really need to answer this because I know there are a lot of people out there hesitating on using AI in their business because they feel like they're not tech savvy enough. And I just want to say you do not have to be tech savvy to use AI. And I'm going to talk about in a minute some of the tools that you can use that you don't need to be a super geek like me to understand how to use it. So if you're not tech savvy, I just want you to know AI is not overwhelming with lots of buttons and craziness that you have to figure out and learn. I guarantee every one of you use a smartphone, and AI is much simpler than using your smartphone. So I would recommend to get started with an AI tool. And again, I'll go through some tools in a minute here, but I would say start with one small task. Just, and again, don't use it like Google. It's not, AI is not a search. It is a search engine, but it's not meant to be used just as a search engine. Don't just ask it to go look up something for you. Ask it to actually do something, like create something for you. Like ask it to respond to an email. A lot of times I will take an email. I will write the email myself. I have to write the email myself because a lot of times when I'm responding to clients, there is specific information that I need to include in that email. There are things I want to make sure they know about, and I need to give them some reassurance that everything's going to be fine, especially if there's a tech problem or something with the website, or if I'm just providing some kind of a brand strategy and I want to just make it super clear that we're on the right path with the direction that we're going. I will take that, I'll put that into AI, and I'll just say, hey, just clean this up for me. It still sounds like me. It's just maybe, obviously I talk a lot here. You'll notice that sometimes my thoughts just wander. And so sometimes my emails do that too. And I needed to summarize and make it a little more concise. So AI is great for that. It's a great way to just do that. And I would also just say, pick just some little small, tiny thing in your business that needs to be fixed. Maybe you're like, hey, I'm struggling with a scheduling conflict that I keep having, or I have a team member and I really need to talk to them about XYZ. They're not quite doing it up to standards, and I really want to make sure that I'm saying this in a nice way, and I'm coming to them with a potential solution and not just a complaint, that kind of thing. AI is great for brainstorming that kind of content for you. And that's not even content that you would copy and paste to somewhere. That's just you using it as a brainstorming tool. I do that all the time, and I get great results from that. Also, think of it as hiring a digital intern. Whether you use a free version of AI or you use a paid version of AI, I'll highly recommend going with paid. You get more value out of that, but then it's not that expensive. But it's like having an intern, because you can ask it to do lots of small tasks really rapidly. And one of the really cool things is, a lot of times when I am creating content, let's say I'm working on a new email campaign, and it's not giving me to output what I want, or I think of something I forgot to add, or oh shoot, I really need to have this kind of an emotion in it. So I'm constantly just iterating on it. If you were doing that to a human being, they would be so annoyed with you, because they're like, oh my gosh, this person is so picky. With AI, you don't have to worry about that. You can cycle through 10, 20, 30 revisions of that, and in a matter of minutes, and get what you need, versus back and forth with a person rewriting it. Well, they have to go back. They have to, think about what you said. And they have to do some rewrites and edits and things like that. It would take them longer to come back with whatever content you needed them to create. But with AI, I can do that over and over again. And so far, my AI has never complained that I am taking too long, or I'm making it complicated or too hard. So that's a big plus right there, as using AI as a digital intern. And also, just like I said, start super, super simple, but be curious about it. Just ask. You can't ask a bad question to AI. If you're asking something that it can't do, it will just flat out say, I can't do that. I keep trying to, I test it every once in a while to say, hey, can you do this yet? And it'll just say, nope, I don't have that capability. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Well, maybe it'll come in the next version. But just be curious about it and try different things. And sometimes I get great results out of it. And sometimes I still, even with our brand completely dialed in, sometimes get things where I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. Or I don't like that word choice, or I don't like the solution that you gave me, or I don't like this, bullet point number 3 doesn't make any sense to me. Let's swap that out with something else. I still have to nuance it, and I still have to play around with it, but I'm just curious about what capabilities it can do. And so I'm always pushing back on it and asking questions and just, brain dumping into it. So let's get into the tools here. So I got asked this question as well through an email. What are some easy to use AI tools for beginners? So tools are fun, and I'm going to give you a list of beginner friendly AI tools. So right now, what I'm seeing in our business in particular, when I'm talking to lots of small business owners and even some of the high, 7-8 figure entrepreneurs that we work with, I'm seeing that some of them have some AI experience, but it's a very small number. A lot of them are just dabbling in it. They're playing around with it. They've asked ChatGPT a few questions, but they're not really sure if it's right for them. And maybe some team members are using it, but they're just not sure. I just want to say that I have a team. I have a team of people who do all kinds of things in my business, but I still use AI because it really, for me, it is the number one tool for just getting things out of my head, organizing my thoughts, and then being able to communicate things back to my team in a much more concise manner. So it's super helpful in that respect. So for people who are just getting started with AI, I know it can kind of be intimidating because you're like, well, what does it even do? How do I get started on it? So let me just give you some simple, mostly free AI tools here that you can just get your feet wet. Do it this weekend. Just sit down. You can do it with your smartphone. You can do it with your computer. You can do it with your iPad. Doesn't matter. Just get one of these tools, log in for an account, and just start asking a few questions. So the first one is the front and center obvious one is ChatGPT. It has both a free and a paid plan. if you're just getting started with AI, just go with a free plan, test it out, get used to it. ChatGPT is really good for the writing, creating content, blog posts and writing emails and things like that. It's really good for brainstorming. I use it all the time for brainstorming, as I mentioned. It's good for problem solving. I've even built some custom GPTs that will help me problem solve specifically around I use one as a business consultant. I use one as a sales consultant. So in particular roles within our business, I have them. I even have a developer one. So if we run across the website with a really unique problem, I have a high level developer one that I just go to and ask it questions. So, but for getting started and not knowing anything about AI, I would just say, go to ChatGPT, get the free account, and just type in what you need. So just say, hey, I'm writing a blog post, blah, blah, blah. And remember, when you're just getting started and you don't have that brand strategy all dialed in, you're going to get some generic responses. So I would be super careful about taking content directly out of ChatGPT, like for a blog post or for a customer email. If you're responding to an email, that's different, because if you're taking something and just saying, hey, can you reword this for me? You're going to get okay results. But if you're just having it create actual content for your brand, I would hold off on that for a little bit. You need to have brand strategy dialed in on your AI. And again, that's something that we're working on, and we will have some information on that. And then Brand Soul is the place to start if you're just wanting to jumpstart on that. And then the next one I'm going to talk about is Canva. Canva has Magic Write. It's free, but it has some limitations. It is great for quick copy. Like if you need something like an Instagram caption, or if you're looking for blog ideas or email subject lines, it's a built-in tool already in Canva. And most people use Canva for the quick designs. A lot of people use it for social media because it's super easy to use. So I would, if you're looking for something like that for social media, Canva Magic Write is also, it's a good starting point. The other one I wanted to mention was Claude. Now Claude has a free version. It also has a paid version. I have tried both. The paid the difference usually between free and paid on any of these tools is the amount of content you can generate. At some point it cuts you off and says, okay, you've passed your limit. So Claude it's very similar to ChatGPT. It's literally you're just met with a prompt and you just type in a question or speak a question and start that conversation and get those answers or create that content. Claude is a little more conversational in its output back to you, although you can train ChatGPT to be just as conversational. But Claude is a little bit better at long form content. So if you are using AI or specifically wanting to use AI for any type of blog posts or long emails, etc., that's what you want to use for that is Claude. It also does nuance very well. And once you get your brand dialed into Claude, it's pretty tight. It hangs on to your brand pretty well. So there's Claude. Another one that is different than just creating blog posts and emails is one called Goblin Tools. And Goblin Tools is, Trina uses this one a lot. So what it does is it breaks tasks down into steps. So if you're overwhelmed and you're like, hey, I have this big project and I've got all these moving parts and I'm just trying to corral this stuff together, it is great for putting that in there. You can just drop in, you can just put in, hey, help me organize my living room, or help me, I don't know. You can, there's all kinds of different uses for that. Any kind of project you can think of, it can spit out and break down the action steps for it. So it's super helpful for that type of thing. It's made for anyone. I mean, if anyone who just needs some clarity around getting started on a project or breaking something down, that's what that one is for. And we really like that one. And then the last one I'm going to say and Goblin Tools is free. And then the last one I'll mention is Jasper, and you may have heard of this one as well. Jasper is paid. There is a free trial available. So this one is not one that if you're just trying to test that you want to go test, but I'm bringing this one up because it is designed for marketing and branding tasks. So blog posts, it does a lot of sales copy really well, and ad headlines, that sort of thing. So it also has a lot of templates and tone options to help you dial in your brand a little more. Again, we're working on some brand documents that can help define what your brand should sound like and help training AI in a more efficient manner. But Jasper does have some of those options there to just kind of help guide if you're just getting started and don't have that fully fleshed out. So those are the tools. And again, my number one piece of advice is just keep it simple. Get started, get in there, ask some questions. And let me see if we have any additional comments. Give me 1 second to read through these. Michael's saying, we've had a lot of success building knowledge bases for our customers. Yes. And help us create content for them. Comes out great, sounds and feels like human content. You have to do the work up front. Yes, absolutely. We have been doing that for our clients as well. And we're working on building custom GPTs for them. And what we create is actually spot on with them because we've started with brand strategy. The number one thing we do with our clients first before we build a website or design any piece of, a product label or anything for them is we do some brand strategy. Taking that brand strategy, putting that brand strategy into the AI, that is what makes it shine. Like I said, you don't do that, you get generic stuff out. You put that in there and you get absolutely amazing spot on results. Your conversions go up, your sales go up. It makes writing things easy. It makes it easy if you do a custom GPT that you can share with your team. It makes it easy for your team now to use that all that information and to be able to create content that is on brand for your business. And you also said I have AI creating great content for our customers, helping with the SEO. Yes, also an amazing tool for creating the SEO. Next up, implement AI in paid campaigns. Yes. How are you using AI to help with your pay-per-click workflows? Okay, that's a great question. So we have used AI to help build out some ad campaigns. And I will say it has done very well. But I will say this, Facebook ads at the moment, we don't, I don't do anything directly with pay-per-click. We have someone else who we partner with and they handle that pay-per-click stuff. But if we're talking about just like Facebook ads, I've actually used Facebook ads. Where I've had it work really well is when I've created an ad, I will use the Meta has an option where you can have it create additional ads and ad copy based on what you put in there. So I've been testing that to see are the Meta suggestions better than my original copy, and how does that work out? And I have had some of the Meta generated copy perform better than the ad copy that I created. And when I'm creating ad copy, I'm not going into ChatGPT and saying, here, create this ad copy for me. And then I'm copy pasting into the ad. I have it maybe generate some ideas and I look at those ideas. And then we have to carefully think through, matching up an branded image with that. What does the call to action look like? So by the time I put my original ad into Facebook, it is it's handcrafted, but it's started from an AI prompt. But it's handcrafted by the time I put it in there. And then I'm asking Facebook to generate a new copy of it. And when I go back and look at those results, I've had better results. The ones that have been spun by an AI, some of those have performed better. It's not 100%, but I do say, always test when it comes to ads. So I hope that kind of answers your question. I don't see any other questions at this point. So I think we are good to go. And I will just also mention that we have a quiz out right now that is helping you identify some of the holes in your business. If there's anything where you're struggling with and you're like, hey, I can't quite put my finger on what, why I'm not scaling or why I'm not growing, I highly recommend taking our quiz at leftrightlabs.com/quiz. And it can help point you in the right direction and give you some next steps. So I hope this was super helpful for you as you're testing and learning about AI. Again, my name is Gretchen. I'm with Left Right Labs, and I hope you have a great weekend.